making it a little easier. Isaiah 26, if we would turn there tonight. Isaiah 26, I saw that where they were, they threw I heard on the news, they threw a Christopher Columbus, beheaded one, and I think they threw another one in Boston in the Bay. Maybe they thought it was the Boston Tea Party. They're doing a reversal on the Boston Tea Party. They probably don't even know what the Boston Tea Party's about. They probably don't even know.
They don't care.
It's so dumb. And then they showed pictures of militia, people with their AK-47s, their fatigues, and they're marching around in Gettysburg. Because the rumor was that they were going to have protests there, trying to take statues, monuments or whatever.
Coach Dave and the boys were out there to stop them.
Well, I think they were outwitted because it turned out to be a hoax no one showed, or they just knew they were coming and decided not to go. One of the two. If they're going to be able to battle that, they have to figure out, be a step ahead of the millennials on their thumb, whatever they're doing. Anyway, now, listen, I know for a fact there are people who are really upset about this. They're upset about this. Now, before I was saved, I was upset about this. What was going on when I was a kid?
I don't want to get drafted.
Well, you didn't want to get drafted?
I didn't have to worry about it. I had a high number, 319.
Well, mine was 30. My number, I drew 30-something.
But you had a student deferment.
I had an S2, but I didn't know I had to turn my S2 in all the time. And I didn't, and then my number came up, but I never got a letter, unless my S2 was still good. I don't know. But yeah, that's why the colleges were always packed out with a whole pile of dumbheads, majoring in dumbheadness, just to get out. They flunked out anyway, and they still went. But you didn't want to get drafted?
It's better to join than get drafted.
It's better to be, yeah, you would get a choice. Where would you choose? I think you would get a choice.
They gave me the option of first half, I could choose where I want to go, and then the second half, they're going to tell me where to go. And so it was glorious.
And so at the very end, you ended up in Australia just before you came home.
Deutschland.
Which means you went to Deutschland, and then you went there, and then when it was over, you went to Australia, and then you came home. That's how it usually worked. But you didn't want to go. You didn't want to go?
No, I couldn't find a regular job, so that's
Well,
why I joined.
did you go to NAM?
No, I went to Fort Knox for the first half and Deutschland for the second.
Oh, okay, they sent you to Deutschland.
The home of my forebears.
All right, well,
Don't tell anybody.
I knew this, that if I was going, I was going to get I was going to kill every last one of them. From Washington, D.C., all the way to Hanoi.
Mr. Nixon.
And I was going to get her, too. Hanoi Jane.
Mr. Nixon dropped the bomb, I don't want to go to Nam.
Yeah. Say that again?
Mr. Nixon dropped the bomb, I don't want to go to Nam. That's what we sang when they're marching.
He did do the carpet bombing, but he dropped the flyers and it did the warnings, you know. Well, listen, we're saved now. We're Christians. Now, listen, I wanted to kill everyone from Washington,
Can I
D.C.
tell you-
all the way to Hanoi.
Can I tell you a dirty little secret
No,
about that?
not now. You can tell me later.
No, it was operated by the United Nations, and every time the generals had a plan, everybody knew about it.
Oh, yeah, this is all, yeah, the whole thing was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, in other words, we got to tell the news media. That's why, what's his name? Ronald Reagan had the upper hand. He didn't announce he was going into Grenada. He just went in there and got those East Germans out of there. That's why he had victory. In Grenada. Grenada, tomato. Okay. So anyway, there are people that are really hyper about this. And they're pulling their guns out. And if the shooting starts, folks, You and I need not get involved in it. We are saved people. We are waiting for our Lord to take care of business. We don't need to be the ones taking care of business. Now, sometimes preachers get hot and heavy about it, and they start preaching away. I remember up in New York, the western New York, near here, maybe 3 hours away, guy got preaching, and then around town, and he was preaching against Rome. And around town, there were statues. Mary had received a fatal wound over here. And I don't know if you remember that, Tammy. Do you remember that? Mary had received a fatal wound there. Another statue came down over there. There was more shooting over here and over there. And finally the preacher, and I really liked the preacher, he said he started putting two together. He said, that would happen to be Brother so-and-so. So he went over there and confronted the guy because he was really preaching hard against Rome. And he said, you shouldn't do that. No. And so he put a stop to it, made sure he didn't turn himself in, but he stopped doing it. I remember one time in church, our preacher was preaching hot and heavy about it. I think it was a Sunday school. I remember the guy, and the guy shouted out, was a kid. He mentioned the preacher mentioned the Pope, and the kid shouted out, shoot him or kill him. He said, either shoot him or kill him. And the pastor interrupted. He stopped and he said, and I remember that he said 2 words. He said, watch it. Meaning, enough of that. And so we're not to do that, folks. And people are getting all excited about this and kind of up in arms about it.
If this is my family, you're going to get it.
Well, I'm talking about the statues coming down. I'm talking about this sedition. What do you want to call it? Anarchists? Give me any other word. Sedition, anarchists,
Marxist, communist.
Marxists, and that is going on. And Jesus he was sitting under authoritarian rule. And last week I preached on the fox. And then people are really excited and they're all worried and they're nervous about this corona thing. And they're afraid to travel. They're afraid to socialize. They're afraid to go out. Now you may not be, I'm not. And whether you are or not, it's okay. If you're afraid, if you want to wear a mask, that's okay with me. It's all right. Now I know you're tired. Try to stay awake. I'm trying to keep it exciting so that you don't fall asleep. There are people afraid, folks. They're afraid of that corona thing. They're afraid of what's going on in our country. I said last week, I think when I mentioned, I thought it was the Beatles. It was, who does Rock Around the Clock? Bill Haley and the Comets. When Bill Haley and the Comets hit Berlin or one of those, Duesenberg or one of those cities in Germany, I think they tore the place apart. They went crazy. The teenagers. Listen, they can go crazy worldwide, man. And you wouldn't think Germans would be going crazy over Bill Haley and the Comets. Do they speak English or do they speak German? Corey used to say when they would play the rock and roll that you and I grew up on, and the songs that we like, that down in Peru, they're just dancing. They couldn't understand a word they're saying, but they're just jiving with everything else, see? And worldwide, this stuff goes on, worldwide. But people get nervous. People get upset, and when they do, what do they do? If you're really nervous, you're really upset, they use drugs. If you can't sleep, what do you take? What do you take? I don't know. I've never taken anything. can't sleep, what do people take? Drink Sominex tonight, won't sleep. Well, it used to be Sominex. It's Sominex. Remember, Sominex, spelled backwards, is it nature? Is that how they had rings? 1959. Remember, Sominex spelled backwards is nature's, isn't it? Something like that. Anybody remember that ad? Nobody remembers it?
There's no X in nature.
Yeah, you're right. So what is it? Nature spelled backwards. Nature is, I'm pretty sure it's nature's. Spelled backwards. Serotan. Is it Serotan? Serotan. What was Serotan for? I can't remember. It's a drug. The only drug that ever worked with me, that really worked, was Robitussin. And why does Robitussin no longer work? Whatever it is in there, if you have bronchitis really bad, and you take Robitussin, it knocks it out, you're cured, and you have nightmares. You get nightmares from this. I mean, I'd have wild nightmares. The only way to get the stuff today that takes that out is you have to have a prescription. Now you got to go and pay $95 to a doctor, get it, just so he can give you the prescription. And why did they take it out? Anybody know why they took it out? I think the drug dealers, they can refine that and take that. They just buy all the Robitussin up, and now they're manufacturing this drug that gives you hallucinations. Yeah.
I thought it tasted pretty good.
And it tasted pretty.
Got alcohol in it, I think.
All right, this is not a prayer tonight. This is not a plea tonight. But this is a praise tonight. But it can only be offered to the Lord. Our title tonight is a godly sedative. Folks, you and I need a sedative. And God offers a sedative to Christians. He offers his children a sedative to calm their nerves, to put their trust in something other than doctors and nurses and other than our government. Even though he places them in places of authority, especially our government, to take care of things. And we can put our trust in that God has done that for you and I. But the verse we're going to go to, did I tell you to go to Isaiah 26? Isaiah 26, the book of Isaiah. It is verse 3. We're going to pick this thing apart. And when you get nervous, when you're around, it is not required to wear a mask. Now, somebody told me today that they're going to put it to a vote in Cuyahoga County with, what's his name, Armin Bush. And when's that vote coming up? But isn't he a one-man band, or it's not a three-man panel? When is that vote coming up? Is it this week? About masks? Yeah, right now, pardon?
I would imagine tomorrow or Tuesday.
All right, so the masks are required right now in Cleveland, in Dayton. This is what I've been told. I didn't see it on the news. In Cincinnati, shall we safely say Columbus? All of them are probably, I can't verify this, I really don't know, but are all run by liberal democratic administrations that want to put as many restrictions on you and control as they can. And so people get excited about that. There are times when I see more masks than others. There's times when I see less masks than others. Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. But God offers us a godly sedative, one in which you and I can trust in, and we can go to the bank on. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Amen? Isn't that a good verse? Isn't that the sedative that you and I need? It is the sedative that you and I need. I think I have 12 points. Who knows? We could come up with 3 points, 6 points. I came up with 12 points. It begins with the person, the one that is being addressed, thou. So this is a praise. This is Isaiah speaking to God. Thou. It is the person that you and I can put our trust in, the one that we can go to, the one that will never fail you and I, thou. The person is God Almighty. We can go there to Dr. Jesus. By the way, there's no, the physician is it Gilead? The great physician, where's that found? It's my address. Oh, they're going to come to your house. Well, let them come. 822, Jeremiah 822. Do I hear Jeremiah 822? Is there no physician in Gilead? Is that what it says? But God Almighty is our great physician. He's made an elixir. He's made a mixture, an elixir. He has taken the mortar. The mortar is the cup, and the pistol is the ram. And he's mixed this stuff and he crushes that. It makes this concoction that only he can make. Is that part of a symbol for a pharmaceutical? I think they use those symbols. The mortar and is it called the pistol? Pestle, I'm sorry. It just shows I'm semi-ignorant, you know.
You got guns on your mind.
All right, so it begins with the person, thou. What kind of a pronoun is that? Singular or plural?
What's the word?
Thou. Thou.
Singular.
Singular. The King James Bible, these are the thous. Folks, it's there for a reason. It's not you, that's plural. It is singular because it's addressed to one person. One person, singular, thou. It's addressed to the person that you and I need to come to get this godly, goodly sedative that is going to work. Thou. So it begins with the person. And it says wilt. And meaning he is going to do this. He will do this. And that is the promise. He makes a promise and he is going to keep it. I noticed this weekend we had two groups of people. Both groups of people ended up going away. One went away for a day, the other's gone away for a week. Well, one person was either got volunteered or volunteered to take care of the plants at a house. I will take care of the plants. Well, that person that volunteered to take care of the plants is just north of Circleville, south of Columbus, for 4 days. Well, he couldn't take care of the plants. Well, guess who had that responsibility pushed on to them to do? Anybody want to guess? I mean, if you make a promise, who? No, not me. I'm sorry. No, you're really warm on this. We're going to get to that. Huh? No, not me. Buster already said me. No, 'twas not I. Was not Starla. It was pushed off on Mom. So she went over there. I drove her over there because I didn't want her to be alone. I sat in that car for an hour in that heat, trying to get some sleep. But you know what? When I was all done with that, I came out medium well. I was about medium well. You know, there was a little bit of juice left, but not much. Man, I baked myself in there. But you see, when God makes a promise, thou wilt. He's going to keep his end of the bargain. Well, this person could because they were away. Well, then there was another person that made a promise, I will take care of the dogs. Folks, I'll take care of your dogs, but you're never going to see your dog again. I don't run a taxidermy either. Well, this person volunteered to take care of the dogs. Well, it turns out that during the day of the dog taking care of, they wanted to push that responsibility off on whom? Onto Starla. And I said, no, Starla, you're not doing that. The person that made that promise is going to keep that promise. And they're going to take care of these dogs. I mean, you make a promise, you should keep it. But always remember this, to be safe and not sorry. When God makes thou wilt, when he makes a promise, we know and rest assured he's going to keep the promise. Amen? He's the one that's going to keep the promise. He says this godly sedative, this pill will work. This pill will work. I know that today the girls sit around the table and they discuss the same topics that were discussed when we went through raising our children. The same topics. What is the big topic for babies?
Where's the toys?
No. Doctors. We're talking about doctors, medication. What's the big topic for babies?
Vaccine.
Vaccines. I'm telling you, man, that's a can of worms.
It's a huge can of worms.
That is a huge can of worms.
Thanks
There's
to
the
Bill
yays and the nays. And I have sat in on these discussions. This would be before we were saved. Before you're saved, after you're saved, the yip yapping, it never stops. It's generally a woman thing. And one way to handle it, and usually, you know what, guys just do this. They just kind of go along with it, whatever's finally decided. But it's a big deal for the girls. It's a big deal because they're really, really interested in their kids. But if you put it in the hands of the Lord and let him take care of it, it'd be kind of like this praise here. Thou wilt, to keep your head in perfect peace by trusting him to take care of whatever way it's going to go in your life. Thou wilt, the promise. There is the person and there is the promise, and it says, thou wilt, and we don't know what it is that he is willed to do, and that is keep. And that is the pledge. I pledge to do this. I will keep. He's not going to lose it. He's not going to misplace it. It is. It's not like, where are the? By the way, where do you put unused pills?
No.
Well, you're not supposed to put them in the toilet. You're not supposed to put them in the... They do have these computer drop-offs, and they have pill drop-offs. Where's the pill drop-off? Is there a pill drop-off?
Police stations.
Oh, you take it... Is that bad? It goes to the police station?
You're supposed to in the rubbish alone, not in the bottle.
Okay, you separate them out of the bottle. That way they, whoever's going to be searching for them can't put one in the other. All right? No, Matt says you can take them to the police station. There's probably an outlet there in the city. They may offer a service like that. I know this. We would, when I engrave, we take in, let's say you want to fill letters with paint. We use hypodermic needles. So I'll go to the drugstore and I'll order a whole case. I order a case or a box of needles, different sizes, hypodermics and needles. Then we fill it up with paint, and then you take this paint. It depends on the needle. You grind the tip off. You take a pin, you stick it in, get a nice even flow. You start by pushing it out. If it's white paint, push out a little bit because some of the grindings go up in the needle itself. And then you take it, we would use high-end, $130 a gallon, high-end automotive paint. We're squishing it in these letters. When we're done, it's perfect, man. And high-end paint, you squish it in the letters. You don't have to squeegee it in. All right, you're hot. I know, I can tell. And you push that paint in. And then one of my men would get really hyper about this. After you're done, yeah, yeah. When you're done with the needle, I take the needle off and I throw it in the trash. Take it when I'm all done, and the what do you call it? The syringe. The syringe it might have some leftover paint. He would get hyper, and then we had two guys working for it. The one guy wasn't hyper about it, but the other guy was hyper. What would he do with that syringe?
Take it out of the garbage.
And what would he do with it? No. He would smash it so that no one could use the syringe. Now, after it's loaded with paint, we're not talking about Home Depot or Lowe's. We're talking high-end baking enamel, automotive paint. Once it's in there, can you use that for heroin? I don't know what people can do or use. He would think that people are going to finally steal those and reuse that needle. I mean, I can't even imagine anybody sticking themselves with that.
Yeah, but if you're hooked on it, you can do anything.
You're kidding.
No.
Well, I don't know. Well, he would destroy it. He would destroy it. Listen, thou wilt, I better not get off the thing. The pledge, thou wilt keep this bottle of goodly, godly sedative. You don't have to worry about where you place it, where you misplaced it, where you left it. It's available. It's always available. And it doesn't matter who gets their hands on it. If somebody else gets their hands on it, you hope they use it, right? That they use that drug, right? Thou wilt keep. It is a pledge that he makes. God makes this pledge. That will keep him. Is that the next one? Him. Well, the him is you and I. And what P word are we in Matthew 13? And Jesus went and found it and he died for it.
Pearl?
We are, yes, sir. We are the pearl. The pearl. Oh, even old timers say that the pearl is Jesus Christ, folks. The pearl is, we don't sell all that we have to get the pearl. Jesus sold all he had to get us the pearl. The pearl. It's how precious you and I are to him. What would you do? What would you do to put this person in perfect peace? Anything and everything, right? You wouldn't stop short of everything and anything to keep this little tiny pearl. And that's how God views you and I, as little tiny children. And God will do whatever he can to keep you and I the pearl and keep us safe. If you have a priceless pearl, wouldn't you? Where would you store that? You would go get a safety deposit box. Whoa, this lady goes right to the bank, and she's the one. I go to the bank and I see these people. They go to the bank and they get to walk in the back room. I said, man, I never get to walk in the back room like that. And she goes to the back room and they give her a key and then she can open up her box and go in there and look for stuff. That's where God stores it, man. The pleasure that will keep him. The pearl. It is totally protected, totally kept. This pearl that's you and I, and he wants to take care of us. He's never going to give us the wrong prescription. He's going to give us the correct prescription, the sedative that you and I, to calm your nerves, my nerves, our nerves. The pearl. Now, yes.
The rest of the verse is because he trusts in thee.
Oh, we're getting there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're getting there. Oh, she's jumped the gun on me. Yes. Thou to keep him in. And that is the protection. We're going to be kept in something. We are totally, totally protected. It can't be marred. It can't be lost. It can't be destroyed. By the way, with the pearls that you see, these cultured pearls that you and I, you may buy your wife pearls, and I don't mean, what do you call those, what do you call junk jewelry? Costume jewelry. It's not costume jewelry. I think when you have a real pearl, is it perfectly round? Is a cultured pearl more round? I think a cultured pearl is it a clam or an oyster? What is that? Well, let's say it's an oyster. You open the oyster up. I don't know how they get them open, and they drop. I think a cultured pearl is they drop a piece of sand in there. It closes up, and then they wait, and it's a cultured pearl. In other words, this is kind of a forced labor camp, and they produce these pearls. But one that is in the wild, where they dive for them, they dive 100 feet or so and get these oysters. They have pearls in them. They are they're odd shapes. They're not round. And it's probably because the rock that went in there is obscured. So the cultured ones, when they put something in there, it's more a uniform piece of sand. But we are kept him, and that is our protection. And it says kept in perfect. This godly sedative is perfect. The perfect. So it's not hit or miss. It's not made up of your chemical balance or imbalance, or it fits this person better than it fits that person. This sedative fits all people. It is a perfect concoction and a perfect mixture that is given out. The perfect peace. And it gives you and I peace. Peace about Corona-19. Peace about the stability of our nation. In Bedford, what could happen in Bedford? You think nothing could happen in Bedford? Listen, out our way, we're out of the county, so technically we're connected with Akron, but we associate ourselves mainly more with Cleveland than we do with Akron. I mean, we don't hobnob in Akron. Our business and everything is directed towards Cleveland. At the 5 Points, at Old 8, Brandywine, 82, where all that converges, it was 2 weeks ago, Black Lives Matter was there.
Yeah, I saw him.
Oh, you saw him there? Yeah, I saw him, you saw him, Starla was with me, some of the other boys were driving by. Oh, Buster saw him. He actually, I don't know if he exchanged words, but he had his flapper going there. And diagonal, you had a half a dozen.
Well, I saw 2 people.
Oh, only 2. Well, I saw about a half a dozen. There was about 15 Black Lives Matter.
More than that.
All right, depends on the time of day.
I was there.
When you were there was more. And then diagonal to that, there was older people there waving American flags. And, I would assume nothing happened, nothing was going to happen. And most of these Black Lives Matter, they're a bunch of ill-informed, uninformed. They just want to stand for something. They almost stand for anything. Stand, hold a sign. Hey, why are we here? I don't know. If they're foreigners, can't even read English. Who knows?
Keep getting paid.
So anyway, it's perfect peace. Well, what can happen in Bedford? Anybody know what could happen in Bedford?
Well, they had the riots back in the 70s.
In Bedford?
At the high school.
Oh, they did. Yeah, my brother was there.
You were out of there.
I was already graduated, you're right. My brother was there, and Mr. Estock got on the PA, and he was all out of breath. My brother said they were out of breath. He was out of breath saying, stay in your rooms, lock yourselves in your rooms. Yeah, there were riots going on. At Heskett, it was the honor system. There were no lockers. They doused all the coats down with gasoline or some solvent, and they lit them. They lit it at Heskett. They were burning that. So that stuff was going on all at the same time. So obviously my brother was at Heskett when that happened, but 4 or 5 years later at the high school when the other happened. What else could happen right here in the middle of town? Right in the middle of town.
Statue.
There, yeah, what is that? What is that?
Union Soldier?
It's a Union Soldier way up there. Now, you're gonna have to get Hopalong Cassidy out here to help, because those cowards are gonna have to get a step ladder. They wouldn't know how to lasso that thing. You're gonna have to get up there and get a lasso up there to pull that thing down. But it wouldn't surprise me if somebody makes an attempt to do it. Perfect peace. And if that happens, I'm still at peace about it. You know, they're talking about, they took the Columbus statue down. Now, I want you to remain calm. They took the statue down, or there's a court order to get it down in Columbus, or they already removed it. They're talking about changing the name of Columbus to what?
Colombo.
No, not Colombo. No, I think it's a song. Flavored or flavor, weird. Flavor Town or,
After the cook that's from there.
huh?
It's after the chef that's from there.
Chef where? What? No, I saw it on the news.
It's named, it's after a chef that lives that has restaurants down there.
All right. Well, then you did hear something. All right, well, wait, I stand corrected, but it was Flavor Town or Flavor, well, I don't know. You and I, now, let's remain calm. When they were sending up Gemini, where did they launch them from? What was that called? What was the place? Not Houston. Come in, Houston. This is, the moon launch. Cape Canaveral. What did they change the name to? Cape Kennedy. I was not happy about that. And what is it called now? It is called Cape Canaveral. They voted and changed it back. Who's the mayor in Columbus? I don't know his name. It's Wacko City. And what they'll do, they'll have a city council, they'll change the name to Wacko City. You and I are still gonna call it Columbus from now to doomsday. And you know what's gonna happen? They're gonna get a new mayor in there. And things will change, and they're gonna get a new city council. The gavel will go down, they'll re-vote, and 30 years from now, they'll vote it back in to say, and it'll read, what will be the name of the city again? Called, Tent City. They'll rename it again, Columbus, Ohio. Just like they did with Cape Canaveral. Just because a whole pile of people come in and change things, doesn't mean it won't change back. Where was the longest barrage? The longest barrage in World War II?
Dresden?
No, I'm sorry. In Germany and Russia, with Germany and Russia, the longest barrage. You don't know. St. Petersburg. What's the name of it? Leningrad. In Leningrad, it's St. Petersburg. Lenin took over, the Marxists took over, they changed it to Leningrad. Stalingrad was, I don't know what the name of it was before, they changed it to Stalingrad. The Iron Curtain came down. Leningrad is now back to St. Petersburg. They changed it back. And guess what happened to all those statues? They came down. Okay? So, St. Petersburg is now still called St. Petersburg. They changed the name back. The Iron Curtain fell. So we get all hyper. Is God very patient? You see, it took 70 years for the Bolsheviks to come down. The peace. All right, who's mine? We only have 5 minutes left. Who's mine? The pondering. I want you to think about this. These are thoughts that you go through your mind. Is you say, well, it was Cape Canaveral, now it was Cape Kennedy. Well, they recently changed it back to Cape Canaveral. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think they did that. St. Petersburg was what did I say? I can't think of the goofball's name. Leningrad. To Lenin, and it's not John Lennon. And they changed it back to St. Petersburg. That was the longest barrage. 900,000 people were killed there. They were killed. I mean, they just kept launching the bombs in there. Stalingrad, I don't know what Stalingrad was called. I think they changed it back to the original name. So, folks, all is not lost, and that's in a communist nation. And why did the shoe pounder, who's the shoe pounder? Khrushchev, Nikita Khrushchev, they put pressure on him. They opened up the gulags, and how many lived through Stalingrad that were still prisoners? 5,000 to 6,000 made it home, finally made it home. And so Khrushchev, the pounder, and I can't remember what I was going to say about that.
We will bury you from within.
Well, yeah, we will bury you, but no, it wasn't that. I can't remember. These Bolsheviks has come down after a while. They just come down. We need to have and ponder these things. Our mind needs to be stayed. That is stayed preoccupied. What is your mind on? What are you thinking about? Oh, I can't wait for baseball to start up. Man, I hope baseball fails. You could want what you want, but this is what I want. I want basketball to fail. I want football never to be played again. Only by children, because it's a child's game. And a bunch of grown-ups need to grow up and quit worrying about NASCAR and the gambling they do on that. I mean, I hope baseball never comes back. Never. It's for children. And people's minds are preoccupied on that. Folks, we as Christians, if you want the perfect and the godly sedative, our mind needs to be preoccupied, is stayed. And where should it be? The placing on. Is be placed on something. The placing of it. Not on baseball, not on football. Not, we posted a billboard, it's still up there. Losing money. That's a question we ask. Losing money? People are losing money. There are people who are making money, and there are people who are losing a lot of money. And then we quote the verse that's in Proverbs, that riches won't last forever. It will not last forever. Placing it on, and it says thee, place is stayed on thee. He is the one, the thee is the one with the power to calm our nerves, the one who gives us the sedative. Our mind needs to be thinking about Jesus, thinking about God. This is the one that's going to give us the sedative that you and I need. No matter how people get in your face or how they try to upset you, if you're thinking about the Lord, God loves you. It could be your response instead of being all upset and uptight. Because where Elsie had said to end up here, because he trusted in thee. Our last point is the persuaded. You and I need to be persuaded that this little bottle that you get from the RX with these pills in it that you paid $3.95 for, how much does it cost today? Probably $39.95 today. This bottle of pills that you get, this Isaiah 26 verse 3, and the pills that are in there is a godly sedative that works every time because he trusted in thee. That you and I need to be persuaded. That we think, well, they're changing the names of the cities. They're erasing the past. They're changing things. Folks, a new set of people come in and just change it right back. We had a carpenter. He says that of all the carpentry he ever does, he says they restore churches. They do woodwork in churches, doors, windows in churches. We're talking old structures, and they specialize in that. There's few of these artisans left. If they go into a new home, they look around and they're joke amongst these carpenters and these artisans. This house has been Home Depot, and they all laugh. He says it goes every other owner. The first owner comes in and makes it look like it's 300 years old, and it's the way it was constructed years ago. This next owner comes in, the wife decides, we're changing everything, and they make it look all modern, rip it all out. The next owner comes back and makes it the way that the first owner. He says it's like every other owner. We own it now. And if there's a new set of owners that come through, let's not worry about it. There's going to be another set of owners after that, and they're going to change it back again. So let's not worry about it. Let's keep our minds stayed on our Lord. And that is the perfect and the godly sedative that you and I need to get us through this troublous time. Shake hands before leaving.